It's been such an exciting week in the National Assembly as the Senate began the screening and confirmation of the ministerial nominees. I'm Linda Akibe, and you're welcome to the Gavel. After the long wait that came before the unveiling of the ministerial list and the reactions that the list elicited afterwards, the Senate finally got to actually screening the ministerial nominees. The screening exercise was keenly monitored. Nigerians wanted to see what sort of questions would be thrown to the nominees and how the nominees in turn would respond. We're going to devote almost the entire episode of The Gavel to the ongoing ministerial screening in the National Assembly, so please hang on and enjoy the ride.
Mr. Nominee.
And so it begins. The much expected screening of ministerial nominees by the Senate. For days leading up to the screening, the Senate has, through its spokesman, promised that the exercise would not be business as usual. Lawmakers listed some requirements which the nominees were expected to go through to be confirmed. So all eyes were firmly set on the Senate to see how the exercise would play out.
Distinguished senators, these are very, very difficult economic times for Nigeria.
The senators began the exercise with one of their own, a former senator, Udoma Udo Udoma. But midway into the questioning, lawmakers asked him to take a bow and go.
I stand to second. Nobody else. Yes. Ably moved by the majority leader. Yes. That the wish of the Senate, the mood of the Senate, is that this gentleman of honor, who is almost like Mr. President in terms of integrity, should take a bow. I just second.
Right now, Nigeria is ranked 170 out of 189 in terms of ease of doing business. We have to address those issues. We have to look at the ease of things like conveyancing, property, titling. We have to look at even the various policies. For instance, the policies for manufacturing. There has to be consistency. We have to, ahead of time, let people know what our plans are, because what investors want is consistency.
The next nominees to be screened did not enjoy this luxury. Former Ekiti State Governor Kayode Fayemi was made to answer questions on an issue which has plagued him since he left office.
The government house I built in Ekiti is a multi-purpose house. It's an office for the governor, it's a banquet hall, it's a residence for the first citizen of the state. And there's nothing that I put in the government house in Ekiti that I walked away with. When I stopped being governor, everything there was left intact. Now you talk about furniture. I have also read, and many Nigerians have read, about 50 million naira bed. Anyone who knows me as an individual and knows my passion for frugality would know that I would not purchase a 50 million naira bed. There is no 50 million naira bed in the Ekiti State House. And I challenge anyone to bring an invoice of even a bed that is 1.5 million naira in the Ekiti State House.
What I would say is that we need far more resources running in the same direction. We had many instances where there are conflicts of interest as to who takes the credit for what resources come to a state or a local government. There has to be better synergy around the basic service delivery. Noting that the MDGs really did only focus on basic services of health, of water, and of education.
The lawmakers grilled the remaining nominees on different issues ranging from security, agriculture, politics, governance, and the economy.
We simply have to go back to the drawing board. First, there must be an extension office in every local government in this country teaching farmers how to plant, making sure the seeds they plant are the best quality, making sure that they know how to harvest without too much stress, because those feeding us are these peasants who are actually subsidizing our stomachs.
It is absolutely necessary that we critically look at our terms and conditions of service. Give the soldier the best, because when he goes out, he may not go back home. So that period he is alive, let's give him the best. So we'll make it as attractive as possible, but we also want to make sure that that person coming into the army is coming based on patriotism.
We are so blessed. Many parts of Nigeria receive up to 10, 11 hours of sunshine. So renewable energy is important, either directly or indirectly, as is done in Brazil. So if we now look at the power generating architecture and diversify, we will now be in a position to generate enough power, and it will be sustainable for us now to industrialize Nigeria, because we need to manufacture, we need to produce, whether it's in agriculture or solid minerals or manufacturing. You need enough power to do so.
But when it got to the turn of the spokesman for the ruling party, it turned out to be a banter rather than a screening exercise.
I'm extremely privileged and humbled that the president has deemed me fit to nominate me as a ministerial candidate. I know that in the past few years, when I've been the spokesperson for both the ACN and then APC, that I must have ruffled a few feathers. I did so in the course of my duty, and I want to say that it was not personal in the least. I thoroughly enjoyed
The Senate eventually screened 10 out of the 21 ministerial nominees in the first batch sent by President Buhari.
Day 2 of the ministerial screening had some interesting moments and was an opportunity for the nominees to show us what they are made of. And I must say, some of the nominees did not disappoint.
The Committee of the Whole is set.
Anticipation over the ministerial screening process mounts as the exercise enters the second day.
We have a first ministerial nominee.
After a closed-door session by the lawmakers, eventually the doors were opened for the nominees, and the first man to climb the podium is the former governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babatunde Fashola.
Today, for example,
considering the level of engagement, one will almost be carried away by the oratory and the exchange between Mr. Fashola and the lawmakers. Over an hour, Mr. Fashola engaged on issues ranging from borrowing and developing infrastructure in Nigeria to means of effective governance and other controversial issues around his term in office. He submitted also that the police should be decentralized.
Limit the initial jurisdiction and scope.
The next nominee won't have an easy ride too. The lawmakers won't allow him just come and take an easy bow. Questions and more questions. And perhaps he was equal to the task.
I can tell you that the average sorts of volumes in investment that we're losing on an annual basis because of the lack of PIB is in excess of $15 billion a year. And the reason is simple. It would have been better that you didn't start at all than announce very flamboyantly that you were going to do PIB and then step back from it. Because it creates a level of uncertainty that no international investor wants to grapple with. So I will urge this very revered Senate to fairly quickly come to terms, find a way working with us to go ahead and pass those elements of PIB where there's not much contention. Engagement is key. One of the key things that killed a previous bill was that there wasn't sufficient engagement.
Mr. Abubakar Malami was next. His major area of focus in the engagement is the administration of justice in Nigeria. After him comes a former senator and a former governor of Anambra State, Senator Chris Ngige. He was received with some warmth.
Senators who found themselves in the great chambers will behave like this.
And then takes his bow.
All questions were taken.
Another senator goes up, a governorship candidate of the APC in Taraba State in the 2015 elections. And as soon as she was given the floor to speak, she sought to clarify her reasons behind her nomination.
Mr. President is a man of integrity, a man of honor, a man of justice.
he will not stop me from pursuing the right of my people and myself and my party by giving me an option to take ministerial and withdraw my case.
She is the first woman of the day. Barrister Solomon Dalong comes next before another woman steps up. The economy is our main focus.
So that tells us that the non-oil sector is growing, and if we can harness that, we can actually come out of the problems. And where is the growth? The growth is in agriculture, the growth is in services, the growth is in trade. So if we put policies in place to support that growth, we can avoid recession.
Senator Hadi Serika was the last nominee for the day. 8 nominees in total screened. Afterwards, the confirmation process began for Alhaji Lai Mohammed.
As a minister of the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. The nomination.
Just like his screening process, his confirmation also generated some hysteria.
Of the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
A total of 18 nominees were confirmed.
The responsibilities and some of the commitments they've made in here, it's our responsibility to hold them to it, to ensure that the commitments they have made to be part of this change government and give their service and support to our president in moving Nigeria forward. Once again, I thank you, the senior senators of this Senate. I think you have done a good job today.